I'm live. I don't know if it started yet. I don't know if you can hear me. So I'll just start going. See where it takes me. So here we are for another Loonie Liberal Power Hour with your host, Lance Richards. I'm still in Facebook jail, so I'm moonlighting on YouTube. Usually the Loonie Liberal Power Hour it goes on Facebook Live. Just because it's an easier format for me. It's what I've been doing for 4 years or so it's just simpler for me. Plus, I tend to think more people see it on Facebook Live. I could be wrong. Brings up a good topic, I suppose. I don't know if the views are actual views or if they're just, you see them as you're scrolling by and you're like, oh, fuck that guy and move along. I don't know if that counts as a view or not. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I'm just more comfortable on Facebook Live because I guess I don't have a YouTube presence. It's hard for me to write on YouTube. I've done some writing on Facebook. I've tended leeches where I go in and basically tell people that they're stupid and why and how they're being stupid. Because I think that this society needs that now. People need to be held accountable for their ignorance and their stupidity and the things that they spew that is just nonsense, unreasonable, illogical, doesn't make good sense. So that's what I've been doing as a rule for a long time, since MySpace, really. But I've really focused on certain things the last couple years. The deplorables, for one, they really put a chip on my shoulder, so to speak. So I've got a little bit of a reputation in my neck of the woods, in my small corner of Belmont County. And people know me. I have haters in a small sphere, you see. Now, like I said, I'm caged up in Facebook jail, which is one of the most horrible places that you can be because see, let me explain that most people are going to say, you're just a worthless keyboard warrior. You're just, you're too big for your britches hiding behind a computer. And I bet you wouldn't say that to people's face, blah, blah, blah. They want to demean what I do. And I see that. I see that. I get where they're coming from on that. Perhaps it isn't as profound as sometimes I like to think it is, but I also notice that it chips away. I am chipping away in my own little place. And that's at least something. I'm doing something. But the point is that right now, I can't do any of that. I can't have a discussion about cognitive dissonance with somebody who don't even know what cognitive dissonance is. Hypocrisy. They don't even really understand what being a hypocrite means. All these things, they're biased, they're prejudiced, they're ignorance, they're misunderstanding. All these things I try to shine a light on for them and for us, for our society. And I think it's a good thing. You got to start where you live. You got to start where you eat, Don't shit where you eat. Shine a light on where you live. Help the people around you, and hopefully that starts to spread. Now, being in Facebook jail, like I said, is horrible because you can see everything that's going on. You just can't comment on it. You can't add your opinion to it. You can't see you see a good topic of discussion that you would really like to weigh in on, and you can't see it. It's like torture. Facebook jail is torture for a guy like me, a righteous keyboard warrior for Jesus and truth, the Loonie liberal. I guess I just gonna need to find focused for this one. It's hard to focus. It's really hard to focus right now because I really have nothing to focus on per se. For the 4 years prior to this, I was like a caged rat. I felt like a caged rat. I felt like the bad guys were in charge and the bad guys were making things real bad. And I needed to be the good guy. Now I don't feel that. I'm much more complacent, I suppose, right now, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good for my mental health. It's good for how it makes me not as stressed. But it's also bad because the bad guys are still out there. And I know that everybody now is calling for unity and you guys didn't want it to be divided all this time and blah, blah, blah. Boy, you guys are being hypocrites now. See, they want to project their hypocrisy on me. I think maybe that might be the subject. I think that might be the subject, is projection. I think projection is something that we really need to hammer down and discuss and get our brains wrapped around as a society, is the notion of projection, which it's basically, it's kind of like a projector. You know, you're taking an image and you're projecting it onto someone else. So say if you're a bully, you're going to say everybody else is bullying you. If you're a thief, you're going to come up with ways where everybody else is stealing. You know, if you're a liar, you're going to say everybody else is lying. So you project what you are onto other people to take the attention away from yourself. That's basically what projection is. And that's what people do that without even realizing they're doing it. It's part of the science of psychology and human interaction and sciences that aren't really, there's still a lot for us to learn in this science. It's not as precise as other sciences can be. How the brain works and all that stuff, that's a very imperfect science. We're always learning new things. We really haven't got our brains wrapped around these social sciences that are ever changing because people change all the time. So it's hard to get our finger really on the pulse of these types of things. But one thing that is for certain that we do know occurs as a natural course of things is humans tend to project their weakness onto others. If you're ignorant, odds are you're going to think that everyone else is ignorant, so you don't have to be, you see. So if you're misunderstanding things and you don't really know as much as you think you know, you're going to flip the script and say, well, these guys are really the dumb ones. I can't be ignorant. I can't be stupid. These guys must be ignorant and stupid because I can't be. If you're lying, odds are you're going to try to flip that script and say, hey, he's lying. And this is how we we tend to blame the victims, you see. A prime example of that is like in rape cases, they automatically try to flip the script on the victim and say the victim was promiscuous and the victim was dressing like this and she was asking for it. So they project that deviance on the victim. It's just, it's something that occurs every single day, but we're not fully aware of it. We don't understand what's going on when it's going on. And it happens all the time. Now, the toughest part about this is the application of this knowledge. We understand that this occurs, but now we have to start to dissect how it occurs. Like, for instance, the deplorables have always wanted us to be divided. They want to divide us from liberals and Democrats and Muslims and Mexicans and poor people and people that need welfare and single moms and women who need abortions and gay people. They want everyone to be divided. It's us against them. They have that mentality. But yet they want to turn around and make it seem like we want to divide this country. No. We don't want to divide this country. We want to hold them accountable for their bullshit. We want to shine a light on their ignorance and their hate. We were not the dividers. We are not the aggressors. We are defending America and humanity and ourselves. Freedom. We're defending 1A. We're defending the Constitution, what it says in the Constitution. We've always been on the defense, you see. They are the aggressors. They are the ones that want everybody to do what they want them to do. And you noticed, projection is a very big tool for them. It's one of their biggest weapons. Actually, I know you are, but what am I? It's the old Pee-wee D. They bust out the old Pee-wee D in every argument, in every single argument. Now, I can go back and I can dissect this and I can lay it out for you and I can tell you why and what this stems from. Okay? Let's say one of the very first projections that was one of their big weapons is somehow they made it possible for a black man to be responsible for racism. Somehow they made Barack Obama racist because he tried to hold police people accountable for their misdeeds. Somehow, because Barack Obama, the first black president in the history of America, started to stand up for other black people, he was racist. Somehow, a black man caused more racism. Now, how does that happen? How is that logical? How is that reasonable? How can you say that can be the truth? No, I'm not going to sit here and say that a black man can't be racist. I never said that. I said that racism, if you're a racist son of a bitch, it doesn't matter what the black man does. You're still a racist son of a bitch. He can't make you more racist. The only person that makes you more racist is you. So basically, what they're saying is that it's Barack Obama's fault that all these white conservative males, all these Nazis and all these Confederates come out of the woodwork and started being more racist and saying, yeah, hey, man, we really do hate that black guy. Somehow it was his fault that this happened. So they want to blame their racism on him. One of the biggest projections of all time, actually. It's like what the Nazis did with the Jews. Somehow everything that they were doing was because of the Jews. Everything that bad happened was because of the Jews. It was the Jews' fault. See, that's what these authoritarian people, that's another topic that we have to discuss, another notion that we have to discuss. The difference between authoritarian-minded people and democratic-minded people, people that are more open-minded. Authoritarians tend to be closed-minded. This is what they want. This is how they want it. They expect you to follow their rules. This is how the world should be, and this is what we should do. That's how authoritarians roll. And they tend to be very closed-minded individuals. As far as what they expect from the people that they rule over or preside over or whatever they say they do. Basically, they want everybody else under their thumbs and to do what they want them to do. And they believe what they think is right, no matter what. And that's what we've been ruled by for about 4 years now, prior to Smoking Joe coming in and saving the day, is that we had authoritarian-minded people in charge of us. Conservative Christians, extreme nationalists, white supremacists, people that think that their religion is better, that their patriotism better, that their skin color is better, that their status financially is better. People that think they're better than everyone else. And they have the right to impose their will on everyone else. That's an authoritarian-minded person. And the examples include the Nazis and the communists and the Confederates and, the Mongols and the Roman Empire and the Brits and all these societies that somehow thought some people are better than other people. And you've seen what happened to most of them. I've been reading this book. I found this book. It was on sale. And we went book shopping, so I got myself an $8 book. For $8, The History of the World. And it starts from the beginning of known history. Back when the first, they even tried to find the missing link. They start pondering the missing link and move forward in this book, which is cool for me. I like it. It's a page turner for me. If I've got the time to sit and read, I can get through it pretty quick. It's a good book. It's something that I needed in my time in jail. I suppose you always need a good book when you're in jail. So that's just a cliche. You always see books in the prison cells. That's what you got to do. You got to read, man. So when you're in jail, you read. So my prison book this time is The History of the World. And there's been nothing but constant conflict between groups of people that thought they knew better than the other groups of people. That's the history of the world in a nutshell right there. A bunch of people who thought they knew better and just kept fighting each other to figure it out. Instead of stopping to think about it, a lot of these times, if they would have just stopped to think about it and be fair and honest and thoughtful and kind and not authoritarian minded, if they would have just opened their mind and come to a reasonable conclusion and a mutually beneficial understanding, things would have went a lot smoother. A lot of people wouldn't have died. There wouldn't have been so much war and conflict and strife and just bad stuff. It all comes down to, in history, who wants to tell you what to do because I said so, or help you understand why we should do this. See, that's what it comes down to, is that the people that are authoritarian minded are quick to jump to beating someone up or fighting someone or killing people. They are willing to kill people to get what they want. When it really comes down to it, that's where it ends up. And these are the type of people that are usually wrong. So history tells us that the guys who are quick to fight, 9 times out of 10, they're the wrong ones. They're leading you in a bad direction. I mean, you look at our battles. You look at our fights as Americans. The Revolutionary War took a while. We finally got fed up. And finally, we were defending ourselves. Most of the time, when we go to war, we're defending ourselves or someone else, for the most part. Now, that's not to say what we did to the Native Americans, and that's not to say other things went down too. Yes, we can be the aggressors. Every once in a while, we've been the bad guys. But there's also a perspective where you could see it as most of the time we're in defense of America, in defense of humanity, in defense of some righteous notion that we hold dear. We're not just fighting because we want more land, or we're not just fighting because, this one over here said God does something different. We're fighting for righteous notions. Freedom being one of the biggest reasons we go to war. We fight for freedom, individual freedom, freedom from oppression. That's why we go to war. And that's why the snowflakes went to war. Verbal war, intellectual war, logic and reason were our weapons. Truth is our weapons in this war. And we have to tweak them. We have to really get down to the nitty-gritty and find the truth using the tools that history has given us, logic and reason, being thoughtful, trying to use things like science, social sciences also. We're starting to understand each other better. And we need to apply that knowledge. We're starting to see that women and men are equal, that homosexuals and heterosexuals are equal, that white people and black people and brown people and purple people are equal. We've learned this. History has taught this to us over and over and over and over again, that this is the truth. The principles laid down in our foundation, the Constitution, is the truth. It's as close to the truth as we're going to find, because history has shown us it over and over and over again. That it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what you have to offer. What good can you give the world? How can you help the world become better? In little ways and in big ways. It's not how you can make the world worse. You make the world worse when you hate Muslims. You make the world worse when you hate poor people, when you discriminate against black people, when you discriminate against women. You make this world a bad place. And we need to find ways to make this world a better place. And that's what it comes down to when it's all said and done. I know it sounds simple, but obviously it's pretty difficult. It's complex. It's more complex than we want it to be. Because people are more complex than we give them credit for. Humanity is more complex than we give it credit for. But at the end of the day, we all want basically the same things. We want to have as little strife as possible. Okay? We want to have some peace. We want to have some sustenance. We want to be able to take care of our loved ones. We want to be able to share love. These basic needs, oxygen, water, these basic needs that we all need to survive. We need each other to survive. And if history has taught us anything, it's taught us that. That without each other, we don't survive. So we have to find ways to coexist. Coexistence is our goal. It must be. You know, as I was reading this book, I noticed what separates our society and what makes our society special is there's over there in Europe and Asia and over there where they say that's where we began, over there, across the pond, and people migrated to here. Okay. Humanity started over there. And I mean, that's the best we have to offer right now. And they started migrating out from over the Holy Land. Basically, over there where they say Jesus came from, over there in the desert, where they're still fighting today. Over the same old shit. Who's better? Who needs more resources? Who needs more influence? Who thinks they're better than everyone else? But in our society, everybody wanted to leave that society and come to our society. Because in our society, we've got a big old hunk of land and everybody's the same. Everybody's an American. Everybody. We're all Americans. And that's what brings us together. And we have remnants of everything else over there. We are a melting pot of this where life began. We are the second chance for humanity. A chance to do it right. That's what we gave ourselves. That's what our ancestors gave us. A chance to do it right. To take and see what they did wrong over thousands of years and do it better and do it right. While keeping in mind that all people are the same. Now, halfway through, I know I've been all over the place. That's what jail does to me. Jail, when I finally get a chance, usually I get to type stuff out and talk, and I get this out in chunks. But when I'm in jail, this is just a big purge. YouTube is just a big purge. I need to get this shit out. And it's hard to find focus. But I think the focus of this particular Loonie Liberal Power Hour with your host, Lance Richards, as the halfway tag, is that we need to start over from the beginning. Always go back to the beginning. Always retrace your steps. Always be mindful and thoughtful of history and where it's leading you, where it has led you. And that's how you can find where you go next. And what always happens throughout history is that a big change occurs. Change is absolute. We must know this. We must know that of one thing that is absolutely the truth, you can't deny it. One thing is change. Change always happens. Change happens when you're not even paying attention. Change is absolute. It's constant. It never stops. You can't stop change. It's going to happen whether you like it or you don't. And that's absolutely the truth. And what happens throughout history is as things are changing, people get scared. They fear change. They don't like it now that if a guy feels like he's more feminine, then he can be a girl. That change scares them. You see, they've always feared that. People's always feared that change. Even the people that were changing themselves, even the people that were born male but felt female, were afraid of that change. They were scared of it. And they denied it. How many men stayed in the closet for years and years and years? And let's be honest, homosexuality has always been a thing. It occurs in all sorts of species. It is an absolute, it's absolutely something that occurs. And yes, we don't fully understand it yet, but we're starting to. And the way to understand it better is to not be afraid of it. Because fear breeds ignorance. It breeds misunderstanding. It breeds hate and prejudice and bias. When you're scared of something, you're more likely to be biased towards it and prejudiced towards it and misunderstand it and lash out against it. Fear is our worst enemy, like Kennedy said. No, that wasn't Kennedy. That was Roosevelt. Didn't he say that? We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Seems like a pretty reasonable conclusion, right? So how do we apply these absolute truths to what we're going through right now? They wanted you to fear the Muslims. They wanted you to fear black people. They want you to fear poor people. They want you to fear education. They want you to fear everything. They want you to fear immigrants at the border. They want you to fear everything, but something that you should. They don't want you to fear a virus, something that could kill you, but they want you to fear other people. They want you to fear other notions that are contrary to theirs. And that breeds your ignorance. It's mutual. Ignorance breeds fear, breeds ignorance, breeds fear, brings ignorance. It's a vicious cycle. It just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And eventually we have to put a stop to it. And how we put a stop to it is we hold ignorance accountable. We hold fear accountable. And that's what I think I've been doing. I think that's why what I do is profound. Because I stand up to the fear and ignorance. And that's what we all need to do. But first, we must do it in ourselves. First, we must come to terms with our ignorance and fear. What are we afraid of? The world's going to keep spinning with or without us. When the world's ready to quit spinning, there is nothing we're going to be able to do about it anyway. So what do you fear? Do I fear death? Somewhat. But not as much as I fear losing a loved one. Not as much as I fear for them. I fear what I do, how it affects them. But I don't fear for myself. I fear for other people. And that's where we should drive our fear. If you want to have fear, and we all are going to have it, drive it towards fearing for what this means to them. What does what I'm doing right now mean to my children and their children and other people's children and posterity as a whole? What does it mean to our righteous notions that have gotten us this far in our righteous endeavor to form a more perfect union for humanity? I don't fear failure. I fear that my victory won't matter. I don't fear making mistakes. I fear that I won't learn something from them. And I think that the most important thing here is, as we're moving forward, because that's what I just keep looking for. I keep searching for the answer that's going to lead us to other answers. And when it all comes down to it, it's self-awareness. We need to promote self-awareness. Because your fear stems from your weakness. Either you're weak-minded, or you're weak physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's what causes your fear. We have to come to terms with the fact that there are certain things that we can somewhat control, and there's things that we can't control. We can't control change, but we can control how we adapt to change. Change and adaptation. It's basic tenets of evolution. How our society, how humanity evolves. Does it evolve in a righteous manner or does it de-evolve? Does it get better or does it get worse? And it all starts with you as a person. Are you getting better or are you getting worse? And let me tell you something when it comes to societies. Societies always seem to have a glass ceiling, that they only get so much better until they start getting worse again. And that is where we are as a society again. There's many periods in our society where that it was the case, but we're in another position where now are we going to keep getting better or are we going to start getting worse? And it all comes down to you as individuals, because that's the essence of our society. Individuals. How are you going to make America better? Are you going to make America better by making everybody Christian? Are you going to make America better by making everybody heterosexual? Are you going to make America better by raping all the land? Are you going to make America better by denying people health care and education? How are you going to make this society better? What are you going to stand up for? What are you going to say that this is where we need to go? Do we really need to worry about Muslims and Mexicans? Do we really should we be more concerned about spending money to wage war than we should be caring about money to make sure everybody's healthy and educated? I mean, these are the basic things that you really need to start to think about. Where do you want our money to go? Of course, we have to defend ourselves and we have to keep our military strong. But shouldn't we, they don't need all that money, right? They don't need that money. They always have a surplus. They always have wasted money. Use some of that money to educate and make people healthy. Do billionaires need to sit on all that money? No, they don't. We got 200, 300, 400 people in this country that can never spend the amount of money that they have. So make them give it to somebody who can spend it. It's simple. It comes down to simple math. Really. We need to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots. We need to make sure that everybody has what they need. And we need to start making that our goal again. Okay? It has to be. Whether you like it or you don't like it, no matter what you think that puts upon you, we need to start holding bad people accountable, ignorance accountable, and we need to start making sure that everyone has what they need. We need to level the playing field for everyone. And I know that seems too much for you, but that is the righteous notion that we as Americans prosper from. These righteous notions laid forth in our Constitution, which basically says there needs to be a level playing field for everyone. Everyone deserves the same opportunity. Everyone deserves the same life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Everyone. Especially everyone in this country. Everyone in this country deserves a level playing field. With health, with education, with opportunity. Everyone. And you don't have to like it. But you're damn sure going to get to prosper from it. Like you have your whole life. Now, last 15 minutes, let's talk about that. I saw one of the there's a video. There's a video that, and I think that this, if you get a chance to see this video, might have to share it somewhere, but it's very profound the way they do it. And it really brings this notion home of a level playing field. And we need to come to terms with this in this country. It had all these people of all different colors and races and white, black, Asian, all these people were lined up to start a race. And they started asking these people questions. And if you could say affirmatively that this happened to you, you got a head start. So did both of your parents live in the same house? You get a head start. Did, how many times did you change schools? All these things that happen that would give you a little leg up in this race. And you would see how these people would just start getting ahead of these other people. And when at the end of this, there's a bunch of white kids up at the head, almost to the finish line. And there's a bunch of minority kids still back at the starting line. Because of all these extra privileges that these people had, these good things that happened to them, they were already ahead of the game. They were already had a head start. And all these other people back here didn't. We need to make sure that everyone has a level playing field, that has the opportunity to shine and thrive like everyone else. And yes, it's a radical notion, but that's what America is at its essence. A radical notion. Government of, for, and by the people. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal and endowed with the God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone is entitled to the luxuries that America provides them, to the privileges of being an American. Everyone. The same privileges. And yeah, we might not be able to give them the same privileges, but we can help them to get to a level playing field. To make sure that everyone has the same opportunity to shine. Regardless of their background, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of what life gave them, America makes it better for them. And that's what we do. That's at our essence, folks. And it always has been. Somewhere along the line, we've forgotten it. There was time periods that we didn't even give a shit about it, really. There's generations and generations who were lost. Who knows the advances we could have made if some people got the same opportunities as others? Who knows where we'd be if things were truly fair, if people were truly honest and just and did their best to endeavor for perfection? Who knows where we'd be? You know, they talk about all these science fiction things where the aliens won't come down because we're too stupid. We're not prepared for them yet. And to them, we're just vermin. We don't even know our asses from a hole in the ground, so they don't even bother with us yet. I wonder if that's true. That we're too stupid to not even, we just don't even know what we don't know. Is that because we hold ourselves back with fear and ignorance? I think so. With misunderstanding? I think so. I think that we have become, humanity always has this period, these periods in time when they just simply can't believe that what they think isn't right. So that, well, I'd rather be right, close my mind and be right, than open my mind and see a new way, see a better way. People were scared. I suppose that's understandable, but it's counterproductive, folks. And eventually, it's going to be our demise if we allow it to be. Eventually, our ignorance will catch up with us. Our self-righteousness will catch up with us. We know these things are bad. I always come back to what you know is good and what you know is bad. You know honesty is good. You know justice is good. You know logic and reason is good. You know being thoughtful and kind and honest and fair is good. You know that being self-righteous is bad. Being hypocritical is bad. You know these things are bad. You know ignorance is bad. You know it. But yet you still cling to it. Why? Why do you still cling to it? I suppose it's the age-old question. People's been asking that forever and ever. Why do these ignorant bastards just continue to be ignorant bastards? And it all comes down to fear. It all comes down to an unwillingness to be wrong and adapt to the change that is absolute. Well, I'm feeling a lot better, which makes it harder for I kind of tend to be, I do my best thinking when I'm pissed off, when I'm upset about something, when my blood's boiling. And it's hard for my blood to be boiling because today I'll get to see the Eagles again. Today the boy will be around, and then I'll have the weekend and I'll get to see the boy. And like I said, Eagles is back in town. The Eagles are flying again. So it's hard for me to be in the mindset that I really need to be focus on these things that I don't really want to focus on. I don't want to have to worry about these things. I shouldn't have to worry about you guys, man. Shouldn't have to worry about you guys being deplorable sons of bitches. That should be your job. Why do I have to continue to call you out all the goddamn time? Why can't you call yourselves out? I'm trying to teach a man to fish. I can't keep fishing for you. You got to start to learn how to fish your fucking self. You see, you're the one that needs to start throwing a deplorable line out for yourself and reel yourself back in. You need to figure out why you're fucking up this world. It shouldn't be on me, man. I got my own shit to take care of. I don't need to be taking care of your shit too. But anyway, 5 minutes left. Well, 4 minutes left. And I do want to tell all you guys how much I love you. How much I do really appreciate all the things. I appreciate the good and the bad and the ugly and the pretty I appreciate it all. Another day above ground. I'd appreciate it if you'd be more honest and fair. I'd appreciate it if you try to really hold justice sacred. I'd appreciate it if you'd be more thoughtful and understanding and really work hard to figure shit out. Do it till it hurts. Really give it the old college try, or the old coal miner try, or the old ditch digger try, or the old bricklayer try, or whatever you do, give it your best. Is that too much to ask? Am I asking too much? Now I could see if you grew up out in the desert and you always had to worry about Muslim terrorists shooting up your parents, and I could see if you lived, in Antarctica and you were born an Eskimo and you had to go out and kill whales when you were 3. I mean, I can understand if, you live in a poor, horrible third world country that you're lucky if you get running water and a place to shit good. I mean, I can understand if you're that person, then maybe, you wouldn't see no reason to try. But you're an American, motherfucker. You live in the greatest fucking society in the history of history. You can't put forth a little bit of effort and try to be a good person? You can't appreciate the privileges and the luxuries that you have attained just simply by being born here? You can't do that, huh? You can't sacrifice of yourself for all the sacrifice that was made so you could be where you're at? I mean, seriously. For the love of all that's holy in this world, can't you just be a good dude? Can't you just try your best to understand shit? Am I asking too much? Is this too hard for you? Okay. If you prefer to be selfish and greedy and self-righteous and ignorant, okay. But don't expect people like me to pay you never no mind. We're not going to pay attention to you anymore. And I guess that's the focus. We need to start paying attention to good things, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. It's conservative wisdom. It's the truth. Something we should always endeavor to do. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Makes sense, right? All right. I'm on my way out. That's been my hour. Thank you for suffering through. You have a lovely, lovely day. I know I will. Fairly Righteous Man out.